What's up, everybody? Fresh out, getting down. Big Herc 916. You know how we do it over here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Go to freshoutseries.com, pick you up some merch, wash your ass. I'm here with the homie Leaf, man, and we always be chopping up some dope game. So I had to get the camera rolling because the conversations, man, these are something that I think more people need to hear. And, a lot of times, I get accused of being, Herc, you funny style, or, you can't not put the blame on, the minorities haven't went through this and black this and that. And, I just want to say, I'm not blind to not think that racism hasn't played a factor in a lot of situations I've been in. I've seen, where a white kid, when I was 15, he caught 5 dope cases, kept getting out. I caught 2 and I did 6 months. I know when I go places how people look at me and how they always ask me. It never fails. I can go to an event and be, probably one of maybe 3 or 4 black guys there, and somebody white will ask me, "What do you do?" Because of how I carry myself, how I walk, how I talk. They assume I'm either military or maybe ex-law enforcement. And so, but I don't use that as something to intimidate or stop me from going after my goals, because I don't care, skinhead, white power, whatever. I'm gonna keep coming. I'm gonna keep doing my thing, and that's what I like about Leaf. When we talk, he said he don't care about what somebody else's opinion is. It's not gonna stop him, regardless. It's gonna exist. And, I don't need you to like me to succeed or win. So, Leaf, man, what is your whole opinion of when people say, "Oh man, this and that"? Because I know you have the same resilience I have, and you always come with some great knowledge on this whole topic.
Well, it's like my hat say, it's like my shirt say. This is what I do. You know what I'm saying? I believe. I got my own belief system. This is what I believe in, and I understood in life, you're always gonna have obstacles, man. I just look at all this stuff like obstacles. I know that there's racism. I know that there's biases. I know that there's nepotism. I understand all those things. All I try to do is find the stuff I can benefit from, right? Because they're going to be there regardless. So my thing is, if you believe that you're going to be a hurdle or an obstacle to get in the way of something I'm doing, you better be built out of the strongest shit that the earth ever created. Because I'm going to find a way to bust through it to get through it, right? And I understand, even if I get hurt doing it, or even if I get slowed down or compromised doing it, I made it easier for somebody following me. So I live my life out of service anyway, right? And because I'm always serving, I've always felt like I had equities, social equities, economic equities, whatever, because I'm always doing things for other people, right? The problem is, too many people in our community, because we're in such a deficit, they look to get paid immediately. They look to get the reciprocity immediately. And sometimes it's a process, man. You got to be very patient with it. You can't go to the gym and get buff in one day. So what happens is most people get discouraged because they can't get what they want one day. They can't stand the time, so they want to criticize. Instead of them following the plan, they rather criticize the person that did it. So because sometimes in our community, they talk out both sides of their mouth. So they'll criticize, or some of our people, they'll criticize what they believe is the problem. But then they'll also criticize the person that was able to elude the problem and succeed.
Now, do you think a lot of your views of just society in general and, the racial inequalities and all this stuff comes from your exposure? Because for me, I grew up in a really multicultural environment, so I've seen a lot of things, and, I can even recall that I didn't even really know what being black was until at first grade, I moved to Texas, and I got jumped by these kids. They call me nigger, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I'm fighting, and then another brother came and helped me out, and then I'm like, "Damn, this is racism," and I never knew what that was, and I really didn't even know what the word was. I just told my mom I got jumped. She's like, "What happened?" Blah 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 blah, and but my mom never sat me down and really broke down, black, white, Hispanic, this and that. I never really had that because I grew up on a military base for the most part around other kids of diverse cultures. So. And then I lived in, I've lived in suburbia, and then I've lived in the hood, so I've seen the contrast. So for me, my viewpoints are different. What do you think opened your mind up to how you view things?
Man, to be honest with you, since I've been a little boy, I always felt like I've been on my own island. Like, really, and my parents would tell you that. I was always willing to go a little too far. You know what I'm saying? I always operated out of a little delusion and a little bit of fear. The fear saved my life, and the delusion kept me from being realistic. So that's why I believe I'm on a pathway to be great and extraordinary. For myself, I was able to understand at a young age. I've always understood that money was the bigger separator. That's the biggest separator of all things. Poor Mexicans act like poor Mexicans. Poor blacks act like poor blacks. Poor whites act like poor whites. But you know what I do know? Poor people act the same all over the country. Go look at those rates and compare them to what they do all over. Go look at West Virginia. Go look at these poor cities, and you look at any ghettos, the behaviors are the same. The crime rates are the same, right? The value system is based on where you want economically and what you're willing to do to get there economically. I've understood those things. I believe that the country is more divided on economics than anything, but you gotta, because most people are poor. Most people are poor. I mean, 50% of Americans don't have $500. So
let me ask you a question, because you said something you always felt like, delusional. And I was always one of those kids too, man, who was in like almost a fantasy state, but always vision, like my immediate surroundings, I didn't think that was where I was supposed to be at. So I used to always be thinking outside, like, I watch Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and I'm like, oh man, I should be on a yacht. But no one in my family ever talked about a yacht. Didn't nobody know damn boats, Or I look at, like, I asked my grandpa, I said, Grandpa, man, why didn't you ever try to do this and that? And he looked at me crazy, like, what are you talking about? Like it's beyond thought. But I never felt like it was an obstacle, like I couldn't get that, even though it was on TV. So for you, you're a visionary. We have a lot of conversations, and we've been around multimillionaires at some of these car shows and seen people with bread, but it ain't like we've ever said, oh man, that's beyond reach, because we have a certain mentality.
Yeah, well, man, you got to know what you want, man. First off, you know what I'm saying. So I don't listen to everybody. I'm being honest. Like I synthetically listen to my parents a lot of times. Because I know they had great intentions, but I know they didn't have the answer. So I wasn't going to be disrespectful. I'm like, in my head, I was like, I ain't listening to that shit. Because and there's no disrespect to my parents, because what I'm saying is my parents had great intention.
No, I understand.
Yeah, they had great intention, and they had a level of tenacity behind them to say, hey man, I want you to get everything you want. But they didn't have the resources to put me in a position to get everything I could want. They didn't have the resources to put me around everything. But what I love about them and what I respect most about them is they did the best that they can where they were at. And I had mentors come into my life, and my parents openly accepted those mentors, and they didn't. Some people are offended when other people come into their children's life. I know, because I wanted to be a part of people's children's lives, and I saw them like, well, that's my son. Hey, that's all you got to tell me is one time, baby. I'm gonna back out the way. But check this out. When this thing get to rolling, don't be talking about stop the ship, because we don't stop. We don't play convoy games. We rolling. If you didn't get on when he said all aboard, you gonna have to catch the next train, which we don't know when it's coming again, right? Or you gotta just watch us. You gotta just watch us leave. That's how this game works. So for myself, as a young man, and I'm refining these things now at 45 years old, because I took hits and took losses. The one thing that's never been shook with me is my confidence, though. Like, I'm still extremely confident in all that I do. Like, my belief thing that I'm building is dream like a kid. Because kids just got unrestricted dreams, bro. Like, they believe in everything they do. When you hold a baby and they like, man, why is this baby so strong? It's not that the baby is strong. The baby is 100% committed to not falling. You think the baby is holding on. The baby don't want to fall. Holding on, that's what they got to do so they don't fall. They focus on not falling. So that's how I've always looked at life since I was a young boy. I've always wanted more. I've wanted to be around those people. And this is the crazy thing. I've always wanted more, but I've always wanted to show little. I never wanted to be a glamorous guy. I am the epitome of frugal. I am the epitome of basic, but I'm not basic. You understand what I'm saying? I never had Lamborghini dreams, baby. Like, all I wanted was a Porsche. And I could have bought a Porsche, right? I'm in a position now I could probably still go buy a Porsche. But when you start to really play this game and go through the processes of it, I just love it, man. It's like, I just really love the process of it with all the ups and downs, man.
Well, it's even like how we talked about, we were talking about hood cars. because we're both car guys.
Yeah.
And you said, we talked about the 87 Monte Carlo, the 72 K5 Blazer, the Fox Body Mustang. The homies coming through. But like you said, having that without the hood shit.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, because we come up in these environments, man. Everything in these environments, when you're in it, you know that everything is not bad.
Yeah.
Bro, I love Harley Davidsons because I grew up in the hood. I remember being a little boy living on the east side of South Central. Cats come through there, D-boys come through there on them Harley. I've been infatuated with that stuff since childhood. They coming through in the Mustangs. That's my favorite car to this day. You know what I'm saying? Them 85, 86 GT Mustang, Fox bodies, T-tops. I still love that stuff to this day. I didn't want the consequence of the lifestyle, but I wanted certain things in the lifestyle, and I figured out, I ain't got to be a part of the lifestyle to have these things. I don't got to sell dope to have a house. It just took a little longer. But what a lot of street dudes miss out on, well, let me not say miss out on, because I don't think they miss out because they go through certain things, but what they fail to learn at times is it's a lot of lessons in life, man. And you can't keep making the same mistakes. You can't keep making the same mistakes. At some point, you got to have an exit strategy to everything you do in life. It's like you ever watch one of them HBO shows, you're like, man, this show is great. You like, why they stop? Because they got an exit strategy. It's like a boxer that's staying in the game too long. You got to have an exit strategy. I don't care how great you are, have an exit strategy. And if you want to do something, go do something else. And if you want to do something new, learn something different. But you have to have an exit strategy regardless of how well you're doing, regardless of if you're doing great stuff in bad situations. You got to have an exit strategy, man. For me, I've always felt like I was like the conduit to all things. I really do believe that. Like, I could talk to a Christian. I could talk to an atheist. I could talk to a gangbanger. I could talk to a murderer. I can talk to anybody. I can sit here and talk to a racist. Somebody said, well, how could you do that? What are you going to do? This is really how I feel. This is really what I believe. So I remember watching something from a political standpoint, and the guy was like, well, it was a white guy, and he was a politician. And he was like, well, black people should do this or that, and this doesn't really exist. That's because he doesn't understand the microaggressions of what being black is. Just off me saying that I'm black tells you something is wrong with the environment. He said, well, I don't have to mention that I'm white. That's because white is the default race. So you don't have to mention anything that's default. But if I have to mention who I am, that tells you right there that I was sub to something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or I'm just a consideration of something, right?
Yeah.
And I look at those things, but I was saying in an interview with him, if I was talking to that dude, I'd be like, so what would you do if I choked you? Right? What would you do if I choked you? See, if we really want to talk about control, all control is done from a primitive standpoint. But when a lot of these people are here speaking with this arrogant tongue, that's because they have infrastructures to protect them. Right? Now, if we off the grid, you think if we off the grid, that dude gonna talk to me the same way if we in front of cameras?
Well, no, if he don't have his personal security.
It's
See,
over.
a lot of these dudes run around and talk
It's
like you said,
over.
they loose lips because they got, special forces behind them, or they got. But that same guy, put him in an environment like you said that's primitive, where he has to survive on his own.
He's gonna get crushed, man.
That's right.
He's gonna get crushed.
That's right.
Right? This dude, 5'4", 135 pounds, ain't trained in any type of martial arts, don't understand anything about fighting. The most aggressive he ever been is playing online video games. What do you do when he can? It's a lot of the problem with society is it's a lot of people that's telling you how to do things and they've never done it.
That's right.
Right? Majority of teachers, the law teachers, they never practiced law. They just went to law school, they became teachers. You have teachers teaching businesses that never literally ran businesses.
That's
they
right.
just understand the structural things. So I tell people, man, the number one thing you could have, the number one currency in life that a man can have is the ability to influence. And I just want people to be responsible with their influence. Even like with these podcasts, man, I hear so many things that are like echo chambers. It's like, man, do y'all just listen to each other and just go copy and grift? And because it's really, forget the entertainment element. Like, do you not have any integrity with what you want to put out? Like me, man, I want to represent black people in the most vibrant manner, but I still want to be able to hold us accountable, right? I want to be authentic. I wish to be genuine. I wish to be unapologetic. I don't want to offend anybody, but I understand truth is offensive, and I'm going to stand on the truth, not my truth, but the objective truth. And I'm going to stand there and I'm going to defend it regardless if you like it. But my goal was not to to offend you. If anything, it's to inform you.
Well, when you said accountability too, man, I just thought about something, and I remember, like, even in the times I got in trouble, regardless of whatever economic conditions or situations I was in, it was nobody made me go do what I did. So it's like when you see, like, for instance, somebody that does something on like on the streets, and they happen to get choked out or something happens to them, and then a person's like, well, that guy, he was black. But no, what about the accountability for his actions? It don't matter if he's black or white guy get choked out, white Mexican guy get choked out. The bottom line is, if you do something, you have to realize that you can't expect something to occur afterwards. It might not happen right then, but it can happen down the road. But you will somehow, that action have a consequence. And a lot of people right now think that, oh, well, damn, he did this and why this happened. Well, do you not think that you have to incur something for what you just did?
Well, the reason why it's hard for people to be held accountable is because all people are not held accountable, right? And then you don't show everybody that's held accountable, right? You look at the black-white thing, for instance, right? More white men are killed by the police every year than black men, right? It's a fact. More white people killed by cops every year than black people, but based on proportions, more black people are killed per whatever the number is. The ratio is different. But here's the thing. If we know that more white men are killed than black men, this is where media come in. Why you never see it on TV?
Yeah.
All right? You never see it on TV. Because what happens then? If you show white men getting killed, black men getting killed, Mexican men getting killed, they say, oh shit, it has nothing to do with race.
That's right.
Because I'm going to tell you about everybody getting killed, they all poor. It's all poor people getting killed.
Yeah, you're right.
When the last time you see the millionaire get choked out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah,
so you got to look at those things. But people help these things though. They help them because they don't understand anything outside of what they feel.
And they act out of emotion.
Well, yeah, because they don't understand anything outside of what they feel.
That's right.
They're listening with their emotions, right? They're listening with their emotions. This dude is saying he's racist listening to all black music. Bro, you just put a whole playlist out of all music that was created by black people. Matter of fact, the way you dress, we created those cultures, and you said that you hate black people, right? So we play a role in this due to to our ignorance of stuff. It's easy to tell somebody something that don't know anything, bro, right? And like me, I butt heads with a lot of people because I challenge everything. I challenge everything. If it don't sound right, I'm like, well, let's dig. And you know what they tell me? You know how they try to gaslight me? Oh, you just trying to get me to believe what you believe. No, I'm trying to see if you really believe what you believe because you struggling to explain it. So I don't think you understand it well enough. Yeah. So I understand. I ruffle a lot of feathers, bro. I know hood dudes that probably don't like me or disagree with me because I challenge them. But I'm not challenging them to ridicule them. I'm challenging them to make them better because that's just the process of what greatness is. And they have the right to challenge me. But you find when people want to turn things physical immediately, it's because they're at a deficit intellectually. They're at a deficit emotionally.
And do you think when they do that, do they actually understand or really believe in what they believe in, or it was a belief that they had based on a small concept that they never really investigated?
They don't. They don't. You know, in the hood got the worst intel, bro. You know how many people been killed in the hood just because she said, he said, and yeah, this is what I thought. They got the worst intel. So if you're not even doing intel on the street level, I know you ain't trying to educate yourself past it. So do they believe it? It don't matter if they believe it. They feel it. And things are created in their feelings. That all things are created when a person gets to the feeling level. You can lie to yourself all day. The chick is telling herself, my husband is cheating, he ain't done nothing, and she really feel that. That's her behavior is going to be in line. She's going to start doing things like that's what he's doing, and then she's going to look up like, oh, I'm sorry, but it's too late because now you didn't compromise everything. So the bad thing about all this is these type of thought processes and behaviors cost people their lives, man.
Yeah.
It costs people lives. It costs people opportunities. It's like being a young boy, man. I should see mothers come up to the school and want to argue with the teachers. Like I told the teacher, I'm like, nah, you embarrassed your kid is what you did. You didn't tell the teacher nothing. His little ass still sitting on the bench and you never addressed any of the things that he did. So a part of this, and again, back to the family structure, part of these things are the expectations and standards of these things. we've helped propel things to an entirely different stratosphere.
Well, even going back, like I said initially, the race thing, where I say, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but at the same time, I've conversated with a lot of people that normally probably wouldn't have conversated with me had I been in a certain mind state. But because like you said, I can talk to anybody. I've talked to guys who are tatted up straight skinheads, and I've talked to guys who are, Southsiders, guys who are, tied in with certain cultures, and they say, Big Herc, I can't really talk to you around my homies, man, but dude, you all right, man? Let me, we can chop it up, boo boo bop. And so I see that because of society's pressures, a lot of people act a certain way because they feel that's what's expected of them. But if people, like you said, didn't have to, or felt like they can break that mold, we would have a lot of dialogue and be able to open up a lot more conversations, because at the end of the day, communication is a tool that a lot of people don't really know how to exercise.
Well, I look at it like this. So that's everybody's fault, right? It's everybody's fault, because here it is here, even though we on this podcast, like, we're in a place to where you got to be very conscious of the words that you use and the topics that you talk about and how you talk about topics, because it's always a gatekeeper to everything. And see, I'm not against gatekeeping. I'm against the abuse of gatekeeping. Because if you don't have gatekeeping, you don't have structure. You don't have rules and expectations, right? Control. And the thing is, and this is a shout out to my boy Ed Morris. And he told me one day, he said, Leaford, where you got easy access, you got chaotic environments. And it's true, right?
That's right.
So you need gatekeeping, but the thing is, people abuse the gatekeeping. And a lot of times it's the weakest people that abuse these things, right? It's what they say, the strong will rule the weak, but the wise will rule the strong. A lot of wise people aren't necessarily physically astute to be in a position to do anything, but they know how to bring stuff together.
That's right.
The dude just running stuff is not the toughest guy, but he knows how to get the toughest guy. He knows how to leverage the toughest guy. And usually the toughest guy is the least educated guy.
Yeah, and he's a goon.
He's a guy that don't have anything to lose. And he's really being taken advantage of, because he really is a person that could have the most love, right? That dude that you think is the most crazy dude, that's the dude that cry in his room at night because he ain't got a mom and he ain't got a daddy, and he really want the brothers, and he really want that family union. So because he don't have it, he gonna take it from you. He gonna destroy everything you got, bro.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? The opposite of love is hate, right? These are polar opposites. You got love and you have hate, right? And the thing about being at opposite ends, your back is against it.
It's when you just said that, man, it's crazy, because I used to have dudes in the pen, and he's like, Big Herc, what you doing after chow, man? Let me walk the track with you. And I'm like, damn, man. But I would walk the track with some dudes, cold killers, and they'd be talking to me because they're like, they had heard, I was out here in LA, I was in, doing adult movies, I did this and did, they like, and I wasn't the wealthiest dude, super bald, but I did a lot of different things, man. I had a really good life before I got locked up, and we talk, and they be talking about, damn, Big Herc, man, I got this damn L, man, I'm trying to get this shit up off me, man. And literally, like you said, I see dudes break down. Man, like literally you see it in their eyes, but they trying to hold, but this dude's a cold killer, like on a hitter.
Right.
And like you said, it's having somebody to talk to, and at the end of the day, it's almost like the Gentle Giant thing, where they just want somebody to maybe give them a hug.
Well, it's like this, man. Every man should have the ability to kill. Every man should have the ability to destroy, right? Every man should be willing to kill, and every man should be willing to destroy based on if the principles that they stand on and based on if it makes sense. The thing is, what we call a cold killer is a dude that has no emotional control. He's impulsive. And we celebrate those things. And you celebrate those things, you market the behavior. You're actually promoting that behavior. Let me ask you this. I've never been to jail. I ain't got no felonies. I ain't never killed nobody. What do you think I'm going to do if you run in my house? You did 15 years in the pen and you run in my house. I'm going to send you to meet him. I'm going to send you to meet your maker. You out of here. And I'm going to wait for the police. Ain't no running. Ain't no dumping the guns. All my guns are legal. They all got the serial numbers. I'm going to slide you, bro. Easy work. I'm not even going to think about it. Because you put me in a position to substantiate why you have to be missing. But I'm not just out here trying to bully you because you made some money I didn't make. You could have went in them same classrooms.
That's right.
It was always amazing to me to see the dude that want to be a robber. He could have went in the same classrooms at school. He didn't want to go to class. He thought we was corny. You know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all nerds, you going to school? I ain't never smoked no weed. I ain't got no tattoos, no gang affiliations, no none of that shit. And I remember people, or many people thinking, oh, you ain't this. Or you, man, I know exactly who I am. That's why I didn't follow you fools. And I still love them to this day.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It ain't no hatred. And this is the crazy thing about it. I built such great relationships, I don't have to do shit myself. So don't get it fucked up, because I could get a dude to burrito and a cigarette and have him come knock on your door if that's what I chose to do. But I choose not to do ignorant stuff like that. I'm a man that believes in delegation. I'm not a do-it-yourself kind of guy. I don't want to cut my grass. I don't want to restore my car personally. You know what I'm saying? I want to have a role in it taking place, but I don't necessarily want to always get my hands dirty. But you ready? I can get my hands dirty.
Well, that's the thing too. I always tell people, man, and you know, and I felt, you know, like you said, a man has to be able to handle his business, and you know, I let guys know, you know, just because, you know, you see me in the books and stuff, and I'm not out here, you know, hoorahing or doing this and that, don't get the game twisted, man. You know, you know, I know how to go in here and listen and be a student, but I could also get out here and do something that can take it to the next level. So, but like you said, it's being able to control those emotions, and when you can't control them is when you're erratic. And I realized that a lot of what I learned in life is learning to control those emotions and not let those emotions dictate my actions. Because there's been many times after I got out, and I thought about pre-prison hurt and how I would have handled that.
Right.
He might have been in the closet somewhere. You know what I mean? And it'd have been a wrap.
And what do you get out of it? What do you get out of it?
It's nothing. That's why I said I had to sit there and actually break down, like, you know, and meditate on it, because I said, man, it's not worth it. And I'm not that, I know that person, but I'm not that person. And this situation ain't worth me throwing my life away.
And this is what I mean by what society does. Somebody in the street's going to say, you lost it. Oh, you ain't a real one. See, we promote, our popular culture promotes negative stuff, bro. Our pop culture promotes that stuff because they celebrate. Oh, he a real one, he a goon. What's a goon, bro?
Yeah, yeah.
What's a goon? The goon that went took the dude ice cream and shot him and jumped on some dude. That's what a goon is, but this dude ain't seen his kids in 6 years. That's the goon. So popular culture is a demise to what our community can become. Because too many people celebrate the culture that you can't get equities out of this stuff. I'll give you an example, like the thing that happened with the Kyrie Irving and the Kanye West deal, for instance. You know, I heard a lot of black people say, oh man, that's racist. Look, it could have been a lot of stuff that was racist, but that wasn't racist, that was power.
Yeah, right.
And all they said was, see, black people are too lenient. First off, black people are way too lenient.
Too forgiving.
Lenient, forgiving, tolerant. They're too tolerant. But that's what happens when you don't understand control. You don't understand that I live my life out of the polarity, the principles of polarity. So what a person that's affluent calls particular, a poor person calls it petty. You understand what I'm saying? What they call security, they call gangster. You understand? It's all the same thing. What these people call celebration, right? These people talk about judgment. You understand what I mean? They're all the same practices. And the polarity is everything are identical but opposite, only measuring different in degrees. Okay? So you got people at this vibration right here. We celebrate the underbelly of our community too much. And it's killing us, bro. It's killing us. Even and then we do too many trendy things. It's like you got people out here paying hundreds to thousands of dollars to have their kids to go to football camp, and my kid gonna get an NIL deal. No, your kid is not. It's not a high likelihood they gonna benefit from any of that. But I'll tell you this: let your son play high school football, but make sure that he focus on his grades. Make sure that he has a discipline, meaning he wants to go into engineering, he wants to go into aviation, he wants to go into something within the infrastructural stuff in the world. And I guarantee if you stay on him, he's gonna be successful, and he can have fun playing football. When football fall off, he's still successful. Y'all put all y'all money in this thing.
One eggs in one basket.
To go to 1%,
Yeah.
and it's only one employer, and then you look up and you're like, well, what do we do? And the other kids you got in the house is an engineer. You sent him to no robotics camps.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything. So we, again, man, I'm always trying to hold that mirror up. I can point the finger. It's easy to point the finger at a lot of things. But at the end of the day, you have to be willing to hold that mirror up and look in that mirror and see what role you played in it. Like, what are you going to change? You can't change other people. You could tell people all day what to do, how to do it, when to do it. They may not listen. That's why you could just share information with no condition. I had a friend of mine, because it would stress me out sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm trying to give them great information. Not that they have to do it my way. At least open your mind up. And she said, Leaford, drop the information off and leave. Just drop the information off and leave. And that's all I do now. I just drop the information off and I leave. Do with it what you want to do with it. But don't say I didn't drop it off. You ordered Uber, I dropped it off. If you didn't like the food, I didn't make it. The information is there. The information is there, man. So there's not a lack of information,
There you have it. Big Herc 916 getting down with Leaford. Bro, we bring the conversations on Fresh Out. You tired of smelling like stanky butt, funky armpits? Wash your ass. Go to FreshOutSeries.com and pick you up a bar of soap.